In this session of Insurance Modernization, we're going to be talking about the approach to insurance modernization and some of the key success factors. Chris, can you start off by talking about the approach and what companies are doing?
Sure. What we've seen most companies do really rather successfully is take a look at the portfolio of projects they currently have going on, figuring out where they can leverage from as they begin a modernization effort. Really examining what are the synergies, what are the objectives of each of those different projects, and how do they relate to one another. Denise, I know that you've been involved in a number of these kinds of projects, and how have you seen organizations really begin to get started on this? What's the approach that they've taken?
Sure, Chris. I mean, as you mentioned, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. And as insurance companies are embarking on this modernization effort, one key important first step is really to sit down with all key stakeholders and agree on that vision. And the vision might be, we want to be more relevant to the business, or we want to have more time for analysis. With all the stakeholders involved, it's really thinking through, with all these regulatory changes and competition, what do we need to be? We've seen some companies want to increase their analysis time 20%. And the question is, how are they going to do that? We want to eliminate, manual spreadsheets. Next, after they develop their vision, that becomes the guiding principles in developing their future state platform. So looking at how data is going to evolve, be standardized, how people are going to be organized, as well as all the IT underneath it, and streamline automated processes. And all the key stakeholders sit in a room to develop that future state. Once the future state's designed, then it's really important to compare the future state to where you are today and understand the gaps you have, and what is it we need to do to fill those gaps, and prioritize those gaps among people, processes, technology, and data.
And one of the success factors that we've seen is, since organizations are really developing this future state model, having everyone in the boat in the beginning and having them involved and getting their opinion. I think where we've seen a lot of these transformational things fall down in the past is that you don't have the buy-in of everyone at the beginning. So I think one of the key things that we need to do is make sure that you've got all the stakeholders that we've identified as being key to this involved.
Agree, especially IT, and that seems to be one of the functions that is not as involved early, because a lot of people like the flexibility of using Excel or getting the data on their own. And it's really key to be able to do this for them to have a strong voice in the process.
And I guess in terms of need, where do we typically see these projects starting within the organization?
It's interesting. It's come from multiple different ports, right? I mean, I think that it's come from risk, actuarial, finance, technology. In some cases, even we've come in through separate doors of entry and begun to link those projects together. And that there's been some real success around that. We've been able to create some of those linkages. But it's really anywhere within the organization that realizes all the changes coming within the insurance industry.
Yeah, I think clients are surprised once they pull all the projects and initiatives together to really see they're actually doing a lot of this already, and it's really pulling it together and looking at it holistically.
Yeah, so the key message there is look at it holistically, look at it across the organization, leverage the stuff that's already going, and then make it successful.
And one of the struggles at the beginning is really getting the buy-in and commitment from all levels of management. So it's really important to have a strong case for change. And, what is our return on an investment? Or what's going to happen if we don't do this? If we don't embark on this change, are we going to fall behind our competitors and as they're doing this? Or, is there a risk of misstatement without the controlled environment with all the complexities in the regulatory reporting?
I guess one of the last questions I have for you is, as we look at these projects, clearly they're fairly complex, they take a fair amount of time, but in your view, how should insurers be thinking about the length and the overall process? Denise?
That's a very good point. I mean, we always recommend very bite-sized chunks. When we develop an execution plan or a roadmap, we like it to be scalable, achievable. Don't take on too much at once, and prioritize. Do, maybe what you've already started, finished, like Chris mentioned, get to the quick wins, but take, and it's not something you're going to get done in a year. This could take 3, 4, 5 years. And think through how the resources are going to be committed to it, as resources free up from doing maybe manual tasks, how can they help with this project? So I would definitely recommend just taking very small bite-sized chunks and be agile as you go through it, because things change.
Great. Well, I appreciate you joining us for this video. Chris, Denise, thank you.